Hey everybody, welcome back. I thought I'd try experimenting again with the fireside chat idea, although it's not quite the season yet for the full-size fire. We're working on that. This time of year, November is actually, there's a couple of anniversaries coming up with respect to the North Project. And I want to start putting out some insiders releases that have to do with some older music. So I thought I'd hit you with a little way backage and talk about one of the songs that we have planned. In December of 2003, my family lost sort of a very important person to us, my maternal grandfather. And a year later, in 2004, the first anniversary of that event, I think a lot of us were still feeling it, the big change that was for our family. At that time, I started writing a song that was inspired by that, that talked a lot about not only the passage of time, but also distance. That departure from our family was something that made me really feel how far away I was from them geographically, which, during my university years and the years that followed early in my career, weren't things that I felt as much. But my children had recently been born. I had two very young children at the time. And with this departure from our family, all of a sudden this distance felt, it felt like a million miles away. So I started composing this song on this anniversary, and during the month of December 2004, I actually finished the song. It debuted just a couple of days before Christmas at one of my very rare East Coast gigs. I had come back to the East Coast to visit family for the holidays and booked a small solo show at a local bar, and finally got the song done just in time for that performance. North did perform the show the following month after the New Year at one of our small intimate music store shows that we used to do back then. Actually the show had gotten almost snowed out, so we had this really like hardcore crowd that had come out and got to hear the song for the first time. This was a song that we looked at putting on Drowning in Sky, the big album that came out in 2008. But for multiple reasons, it kind of didn't quite come together, didn't quite fit the other things that we had on the record. We did start to rough it up. But we never brought it all the way full through production. However, in the process of getting ready to do that, we cut a sort of proof of concept version, if you will, with Marcus Nee, North's bassist and sort of my main partner in the project, on just like his home recording gear. Marcus recently unearthed this recording and sent it over to me, and it's actually a nice little capture of the song. The mix that we had at the time that we just had sort of roughed up is a little bit heavy on the guitar, though it's not quite, the lyrics are audible, but for someone who doesn't know the words, it might be a little bit difficult to hear all of them. So when I put out the insider's release, I'm going to include the lyrics as well. But this is just very much on the emotional side of the spectrum of North's material. This version that you're going to hear with this insider's release is just guitar and vocals. The band, we hadn't gotten around to recording the band on it yet. It was just one of those songs that kind of got lost in the shuffle as things moved forward, so it never really got recorded or released. So this insider's release that I'd like to put out this month is coming out on the 11th anniversary of this song's being written here right around early December of 2004. I hope it's something that you enjoy. Again, it's not going to be something that's going to capture the full force of what North was doing at the time, but I think from a songwriting standpoint, it's a song that I did end up being really happy with how it came out. So I hope you enjoy that and look forward to talking with you again next week. All right, for a music link this week, I want to share with you an artist I've actually been a fan of for a long time. His name is Jim Infantino. I first heard him actually back in the mid-90s. He was already touring nationally as an artist at that time, so he's been at this for a while. I saw him in a solo capacity. So he, he did a lot of work in the world of folk music and also in spoken word and poetry, actually, kind of mixed into his set, which is really cool. But he's also delved very solidly into the world of rock. And even what you might want to call eclectic or alternative rock almost, in the sense that he's done stuff that's a little bit edgy and a lot of fun. He's actually put out albums under 2 different project names, both under his name, Jim Infantino, which I believe focuses more on his solo and kind of folk sound, and then under the name of his band, which is called Jim's Big Ego. It's kind of an inside joke based on one of his songs. And I think that that title is given more to the albums that are kind of more focused on the ensemble sound and the rock sound. A couple of weeks ago, I talked about the art of songwriting, and Jim Infantino is really a master at this, as well as Vienna Teng, the artist I talked about at that time. His lyrics are absolutely brilliant. I mean, he's definitely a poet, and some of his spoken word and poetry work reflects that. But when he merges his poetics with music, he's absolutely excellent at his delivery. It can be humorous, it can be emotionally powerful in other ways. It's just, he's just really a masterful songwriter. And over the years, he's become one of my favorite songwriters of all time. Definitely somebody who also kind of encourages me to ratchet up my, my songwriting quality, although I don't know if I can ever get to where he is. He's got a lot of albums out under both of those project names, as I mentioned. And not everything's available online. Actually, it's kind of a limited what's available online free, but there's definitely stuff out there to check out. This album is just one I want to mention. This is actually put out under the name Jim Infantino and Jim's Big Ego. This album came out, I believe, in 1996. It's called Titanic. This record has a fantastic sampling of live cuts, studio cuts. It's got poetry and spoken word on it, mixed with music in some cases. It's got some rock stuff. It's got some folk stuff. It's got some funny stuff. It's got some really serious and beautiful stuff on it. It's, again, not something you can just dial up online and hear the whole thing, but if you can find a way to check out this album, Titanic, by Jim Infantino and Jim's Big Ego, I think it's really a very cool listen, especially to listen to it just start to finish, because he's got a lot of transitions where he goes immediately from a poem into a musical piece and vice versa. So absolutely a fantastic artist in my view. Ever since I first heard him in 1995 or whatever it was, I've been a fan, and definitely someone who I believe is another master at not only lyrics but then bringing lyrics together with music in the art of songwriting.